Is it okay for them to step up and be a delegate?
Absolutely. And we want to make sure that you run a fair process, but at that point, you can declare your support. You know, we've been, you know, people are already declaring. I haven't publicly declared. Once the caucus happens, I will. Because that's, at that point, I'm choosing which caucus I want to be part of. Dawn, did you have something else? No. Okay. So, this seems a little weird, and I don't think we don't need to go through that. Rule F.5 of the Delegate Selection and Affirmative Action Plan governs proceedings in a preference sub-caucus. That's just what we talked about. Delegate position remains unfilled if no one attending the sub-caucus is willing to fill the position. It's not awarded to another preference. Has been made, the allocation of delegates has been made prior to the convening of the sub-caucus and cannot be altered. Okay, now let's get to the specific tally clerk 19 procedures. Who's going to be a tally clerk here? Anybody going to be a tally clerk? Great. Okay, you and you. All right. So we've kind of talked about this, but let's go through it. At 10:30, it should say a.m. I don't know why it says p.m., but gather all the sheets together for the precinct, plus any surrogate affidavits that the chair may have. You get out a new sheet for the latecomers and boldly mark on it after 10:30. Yes. Leave on the table in place of the ones you're taking away. We've already talked about the tally clerks appointed by the caucus chair, and you recruit another assistant. You really should always have 2 people so that you can double check each other's work. And the campaigns can have somebody watching over you as well. So we'll see how much of that happens. So they can have observers. And they're just observing, they're not participating. They're not supposed to duplicate what you're doing. So the tally clerk and the other person, the 2 tally clerks, will do the same things and confirm each other's counts. Count the number of separate sign-in sheets. You can number the sign-in sheets. That's getting pretty complicated though. So that you know that you've counted them, a check mark or something like that. You want to split the sign-in sheets into 2 piles, count them, and then repeat, and then swap and count them. Make sure you got the same number. Okay?
Should it be 3 files? You're still
no, I'm talking about like 1 folder that you're going to start with.
Okay, so you're splitting the folder.
Yeah, you're going to start and do that for each folder. You're going to do a double count. And then you compare the results. And if they don't match, you got to recount again. You got to make sure that that matches. When you both observe, then you can write that tally number down. Okay, now for the delegate allocation, let's go through the next sheet, which is number 20 and 21. I suggest that you look at both of them kind of simultaneously. It seems like it's complicated, but if you follow this worksheet, you just do it step by step like a problem, a math problem. You're not going to have a problem. It's pretty simple. Probably counting is more difficult than filling out this sheet. Just do it step by step. So, presidential preference means the candidate's name. So candidate Sanders, candidate Clinton, uncommitted is what you're going to write in column A. So, in column B, you're going to enter the number of attendees who support each presidential preference. Okay. Now, in column C, you're going to put the number of everybody who's there. So you've got to add those numbers together. for each candidate.
Everybody in the precinct that's there.
Everyone in the precinct that's there. And the surrogate affidavit forms are included in that as well. Okay? Now, in D, you're going to divide column B by column C. Okay? And that's what you're going to put in column E. No, I'm sorry.
In column B.
Okay, column D. You're just leaving that in column D. Now, this is a percentage chart, which you could use if you wanted to avoid this steps, but I'm going to encourage you to do this process because it really is a lot easier, and we don't have a 15% threshold anymore. So, okay, column E. You're going to reprint the presidential preferences. In column F, you're going to re-enter the decimal number found in column D. Okay? In column G, you're going to enter the total number of delegates for this precinct, and that's going to be on your envelope. So, in this instance, 5, which is a pretty common number. So then in column H, you're going to enter the product of column F and column G. So that's F times G gives you column H. Now, this is the part that gets really confusing for people. Each preference receives the whole number of delegates listed in column H. The whole number. If there are unallocated delegates remaining, these delegates will be allocated to the preferences having the highest remainder. Okay? So you've got 2.5, and that's listed at the top. And that gets 2 delegates. 1.10 gets 1. And you're allotted 5, so your 0.85 gets 1 delegate, because you can't have a 0.85 delegate. So that 0.85 is the only one that gets rounded up, basically. Does that make sense?
Everybody, all the other 2.50 and 0.55 both get rounded down.
Yes.
That's at the little asterisk on the bottom of the page there.
Yeah.
How is the number of delegates per precinct determined?
Oh, I'm sorry, you probably missed this. Okay. In the last presidential election, the number of votes in your precinct for the governor and the president. And then it's a proportional number.
So then, the number of people who show up this year doesn't really affect the number of delegates this year, but it affects it for the
4 years.
So that's why it's important for people to come for the future.
Yeah.
So I have just a question. You were talking about this math, and you said the 0.85 is the only one that gets rounded up, but the 0.55 gets rounded up.
No,
too.
0.85 gets rounded down, and then you add the...
No,
0.55
gets rounded up.
No,
Yeah.
8.5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because it has to be the nearest whole number.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Because the 0.55 is larger than the
Yeah.
0.5.
Yeah.
and the 2.5.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
basically just the nearest whole number is all you have to think of.
Okay. So we're just talking about rounding up versus rounding down. If you follow this and you have your largest number, 2.5 is going to be 2. You can't have 0.5 of a person. So that's good.
But if it was 0.49, he'd be a 0.
Correct, but you're not, based on the numbers, you're not going to get those kind of numbers, yeah. Steve?
Then you go back to column B, I want to make sure.
Okay.
The total number, the number that goes in there is the total number of attendees and surrogates who voted for that particular candidate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.